Hi, it's Lisa from LJ Crochet here. Today I'm going to try and show you how to make a granny square. This is how I make granny squares. There are loads of tutorials out there, but this is how I do it. Please note I'll be using UK terminology. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I'm using double knit yarn. This is Stylecraft Special Double Knit, which I love. We need to make a slip knot so that we have a stitch on our hook to begin with. So how I make a slip knot is I wrap the yarn around my finger and cross it over like so, and then take my hook, slip it under that loop, pick up my yarn from underneath, then I grab both ends of my yarn and I pull, and that gives me my first stitch on my hook. Then we need to chain 4. Now, to chain 4, to make a chain, we have one stitch on our hook already. We yarn over our hook and we pull through that stitch, and that's our first chain. So yarn over and pull through. That's 2. Yarn over, 3. Yarn over, 4. That makes our 4 chain. Now we need to slip stitch into the first chain we made. So we go round. Let me just get that light in a bit better. And we need to go into this stitch here, like so. Yarn over and a slip stitch. You yarn over and you pull through both of the stitches on your hook, and that makes a little loop. If I take my hook out, you can actually see it's very tiny, but there is a hole in the middle. You can see now. Move that out of the way. You can just make out a hole in the middle. You can pull it out a bit. That's where your needle's going to go, in that hole. Not in the stitches, but in the actual hole. We now need to chain 3, so yarn over and through, 2, 3. Now we have to do a treble stitch. How we do that is we go yarn over and we go into that hole that we talked about previously. Just take your time and you will find it. Yarn over, back through that hole. We now have 3 stitches on our hook. We yarn over and we pull through the first 2 stitches. We yarn over and we pull through the last 2 stitches, and that is how you make a treble. Now, the beginning of a granny square, we need to have 3 trebles together. Our first 3 chain counts as our first treble, so we need 1 more treble. So again, we yarn over, we go into our space, we yarn over, come back through, 3 stitches on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and there we have our first 3 trebles. Okay, we now need to make a corner. So by making a corner, all we have to do is chain 2. So yarn over, pull through stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch. There's your corner made. Now we need another 3 trebles. Now, what I do is I crochet over my towel. So basically I hold that up alongside my stitches so that I can still see my hole, but it's sitting behind that row of stitches there. And it just means, it just secures the yarn a bit better. and it saves a lot of sewing in. So go yarn over into our hole, yarn over, pull back through. I have 3 stitches on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I need to do this 3 times. That is your next cluster of 3 trebles. Now we need to make another corner, so chain 2 and another cluster of trebles. So yarn over into the hook, into the space, got 3 stitches on a hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over into our space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. One more. We need another corner, so chain 2. And these clusters of trebles will move around that ring because they're not actually in a stitch, they're just in that space. So you can move it around. And you can see the space clearer now. The further you go, the clearer that space will get. If there is a way of not having a space later on where you can close that up, but that's a more advanced technique called a magic ring, which we can come to at a later date. But for a plain granny square, having a hole in the middle is okay. So we need another 3 lots of trebles. I hold my hook the way I do and my yarn. Everyone holds their hook and yarn differently. I hold my hook and yarn different to my mum and my sister, and they both hold it differently to each other as well. I think you have to hold your hook and your yarn however is comfortable for you. I hold my hook like this because that's just how I find it comfortable. I watched many YouTube videos and how people held their hooks. People hold their hooks in completely different ways, so it's good just to have a browse and to see what you think will work for you and how you think it's comfortable for you. My yarn, I wrap it around my little finger. It's a bit hard to show you. Wrap it around my little finger, and then I take it across the the back of my hand. This finger is tensions my yarn, and I've got this finger and thumb free to hold my work. Right, back to this first to make our square. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 lots of clusters of 3 trebles. We now need to make our last corner, so we chain 2, and now we need to slip stitch into the 3rd chain that we very first made at the beginning. So that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Now you can see there's like a V, and that's what the stitches will show. It's like a little V. I'm not sure if you can see that very clearly. So this is where we want to go. This is our V. On the back it looks a bit different. You've got another loop on the back there. But what I basically want to do is I want to go under that first bit of yarn and then under that second bit of yarn. So I've actually got what I call 2 legs of the stitch on my hook. So that's my original stitch. I've gone into that 3rd stitch in my first chain, and I've got the 2 legs on my hook, and there's one part of the stitch on the back. So that's what it looks like on the back. Got that 1 stitch on the back, and I've got two legs on the front. And then I yarn over, slip stitch in, yarn over, and I pull through them two and that stitch on my hook, and I'm back to one stitch on my hook. Now, as you can see, by doing it this way, we're not really and truly in the corner of our where we need to be to start again. So what I do is I slip stitch across. So I'll go under the two legs of the next stitch, pull through, under the two legs. Can you see where I'm going? Under the two legs, pull through, and then we need to start in this space here. So I slip stitch into that space, and we're ready to start our second round.